Hey Aries, thank you so much for joining us for your weekly reading at 3 Rabbit Tarot for the week of March 14th to March 21st. We're going to be pulling a bunch of cards here to get an idea of your general energies for this week, as well as any challenges that you'll be facing, and some advice on how to overcome those challenges. So Aries, in your last week's reading, we were talking about how you might have accidentally crossed a line with certain people, how you might have accidentally overstepped some boundaries, made some kind of mistakes. Here in the energy for this week, we have the Hanged Man talking about kind of gaining a new perspective, turning things over. I think that this is you reevaluating some sort of situation. Well, let's go ahead and clarify this a little bit more. Where are you getting this new perspective from? Where did you possibly cross the line? So Aries, it seems like the area here where you're having the most challenges this week is with the Nine of Wands card. So you're feeling really beaten up about something. There's been a lot of things bearing down on you recently. I think that you might have accidentally, this is like an Aries who's crossed the line on something. You overstepped your boundaries on with some social group, for instance, and now you're starting to feel the repercussions of that. You're starting to get a little bit beaten up because of this situation right now, Aries. Let's go ahead and see what was going on in your recent past to get you to this situation. In your recent past, though, we have the Six of Wands card, so you're kind of celebrating something. So it could just be that maybe you were a little bit too celebratory of some kind of accomplishments that you had made. It almost felt as though you were looking down on other people, even if you didn't mean to necessarily. Other people just kind of took you celebrating your own accomplishments and then juxtaposed it to their life, and they're oh, he's and then it kind of felt oh, Aries is kind of parading around the success that they have and throwing it in our faces basically. So that could be the thing where you might have overstepped a line even without realizing it. Just because you crossed a line doesn't mean that you meant to. It doesn't mean that you were trying to hurt people, but it could just be that other people perceive that as such. Going into the future here, we have the Hierophant cards. So you're kind of joining some sort of new organization here. There's some sort of new group that you're being initiated into. I see an Aries who's having a lot of success here. You're celebrating yourself for a reason. You're celebrating yourself because you found some sort of success, and you feel as though yeah, of course I should be celebrating my accomplishments. Of course I should be, really enthusiastic about what I'm doing. You should be hyping yourself up, and then you are kind of entering this next stage of your life. Maybe you're being given new work opportunities. Maybe you're joining some kind of organization here that's really in line with your principles or what you want to do as far as your future is concerned. And this Nine of Wands here in the middle is kind of acting as a barrier between this celebration that you're feeling and then entering this new organization. It's just this minor obstacle that you have to overcome. It's not something that's going to slow you down. It's not going to completely destroy this momentum that you have, but at the same time it's something that you're going to have to confront. You might have been really celebrating too much in a sense, or maybe you have been throwing it in people's faces. Basically, Aries, this is an opportunity for you to readjust. Here in your area of above, how you're presenting yourself to the world, we have the Ace of Swords card. So you have a lot of fiery passion about this new project that you're entering into. I can see an Aries here who is just you have this big long-term goal or dream or ambition, and now you're starting to really put things into motion here, and that's basically the energy that you're projecting to the world right now. You're projecting this energy of being so sure about what you're doing. And I think that that's why you could be facing a little bit of resistance from some people right now. Not even resistance, but just miscommunication, misunderstanding. Here in your area below, we have the Five of Wands card. This is you kind of recognizing that quarrel that you're entering with other people right now. So if we have the Nine of Wands here as you being beaten up by circumstances of people feeling as though you crossed the line in some sort of way. This is you really do recognize that at least. So you're in a positive position. I think that you're not being arrogant, you're not overlooking people. You are being really sympathetic and kind of understanding okay, maybe sometimes when you feel you have a lot of accomplishments, when you start to air those accomplishments to the world, there are other people in your life who aren't doing as well as you, and they're gonna start to see that as they're not gonna feel of course, if they really love you and cherish you, they're going to feel happy for your success. But at the same time, it might kind of hurt them a little bit because they feel like they haven't lived up to their own goals, whereas they see you accelerating and doing these new wonderful things. Here in your area of advice, we have the Ace of Pentacles card. And this is great to see paired up with this energy of like the Ace of Swords card. So you're really passionate about entering into something new here. And the Ace of Swords almost suggests something academic. But here with the Ace of Pentacles card, this is more of like turning this academic, this is about turning like this intellectual energy into something that is like more of like a business or a project. So it can even be like an artistic project as well. You're really just like gearing up and like moving towards something new. You're really in a moment where you're taking off entirely. Here in your area of external factors, we have the Six of Cups card, which is all about like being nostalgic and sentimental. It can also be about people from your past right now. So it could be that, this is as an external factor, there are people from your past right now who are seeing your success and they're really happy for you, but at the same time, they feel like, oh shit, I kind of let myself down. So they're kind of like judging their own lives in accordance of like what you're doing right now, which isn't fair for you. But you have to be on the lookout for that though, Aries. Here in your area of hopes and fears, we have the Queen of Swords card. So I can see in Aries right now, you're maybe like a little apprehensive about setting barriers with those people right now. Maybe you feel as though you already kind of hurt them in some small way by overstepping your boundaries a little bit, by like crossing the line a little bit. So you're almost kind of scared about setting these new boundaries. Maybe you do need to stop telling them about what you're doing. You need to stop telling them about your successes. And that could kind of like help save them a little bit. It'll help them feel a little bit less hopeless about their situation. But at the same time, you're kind of worried because it'll almost seem as though maybe they'll just take it as though you're cutting them off for no reason. Maybe you don't like them anymore. So I think that your hopes and fears are really caught up in that situation. All your hopes and fears right now are really caught up in that right now, that issue. Here is your area of an outcome. We have the Page of Wands card. So the Ace of Wands card, you're really taking some sort of academic pursuit. And then with the Ace of Pentacles, you're like translating it into some new like project or goal. And then here with the Page of Wands, this is almost like the naive energy of getting started on something new. So there are probably huge issues with this new project that you want to do, or this new career that you're stepping into that you don't even foresee yet, but you're still entering it with like a really kind of like a naive energy. And it's a pretty positive thing to have right now because there might be a lot of people in this industry or like in like this project already who have become really jaded. So you could bring like a lot of like youthful, passionate energy to what you're doing right now, Aries. Aries, here at the end of the reading though, we're going to pull 3 cards for 3 yes, no, or maybe questions. So if you want to pause the video, we're going to pull one. We're going to pull one card here, we're going to pull a second one, and then finally we're going to pull our last card here. So Aries, for your first question, I have a definite yes. For your second question, I have a yes. And for your last question here, I have a bit of a definite no here with the Nine of Swords. So Aries, if this reading resonated with you, please check out your sun, moon, and rising. Also subscribe down below because that helps us out the most. Also, definitely check out your monthly reading because that's going to paint a picture of the entire month for you, and we're not doing those every month. So it's something like special just for March. Aries, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.